Alright, recently Nintendo came around the corner with a port of the new Super Mario Bros. Game that was seen on the Wii U originally, and now it's coming to the Switch. However, does this mean that more of these games will be coming to the console? Would that be fitting, and is it something that Nintendo is interested in? Well, let's find out. In one of the more recent Nintendo Directs, they came around the corner with this new port that some were excited for and others not so much. The game just contains the main game that was released for the Wii U back in the day, combined with the Luigi-themed DLC. When it comes to added content, there isn't too much. Just a new character, power-up, and some other small things. It's nothing major really. The whole thing is just a simple and fun port of a game from the Wii U that didn't do too well thanks to the console's failure. However, will this be a one-time thing, or will the new Super Mario Bros. Series live on for another console generation? Will we actually see more of these games, this time especially made for the Nintendo Switch? Well, in order to get an idea if this is possible, we will have to look at a couple of things. How did the series start off? Is there a reason to make more of them? Does it fit with the Switch? And is there enough inspiration? We will start with our first question. So let's dial back the clock to a period when Nintendo hadn't made a 2D side-scroller title in over 13 years. As we all know, the series started off with this classic formula, going from left to right, beating enemies and dodging obstacles. They used this gameplay idea for years upon years, creating classics like Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and more. However, at some point, the technology of 3D and the success of the first title like it, Super Mario 64, became a thing, taking over the series for a long time. Nintendo was busy for years making games like Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Galaxy, leaving the old ways behind. However, when they finally made the first new Super Mario Bros. Game for the DS, it completely returned. This game was a huge hit right away. An average of 3,589 copies were sold every single day. They managed to sell over 900,000 in the first week. And at the end of it all, they sold almost 30 million of them, which is an insane number. So of course Nintendo started to make more and more and more of them, filling the DS, Wii, 3DS and Wii U library with them. Even the last one they made for the Wii U still did quite well, selling almost 6 million units, which is a lot for the amount of Wii U sold. So no matter how you look at it, this series is crucial for Nintendo. So let's move on to our second point. Would they make more of them? Well, here Nintendo would look at two things to determine that. Is there enough demand? And how manageable is it to produce them? In order to get an answer for their first big question, they will look towards the Wii U port. If it does well, then there's reason enough to make more. And looking at the attention that the trailer got on YouTube, I would say it's gonna do quite well. It got over 2 million views after all. Besides that, these games are also incredibly easy for them to make. They can reuse a lot of the assets from older titles after all by updating them. This will save the developers loads of time. A lot of the graphics work has been done already, or can easily be made. The biggest amount of effort would go into making new elements to keep it fresh and designing the layout of all the levels. So when it comes down to it, they can certainly pull it off. However, the new Nintendo Switch console is quite different compared to any of the previous. So will it work with this new device? It is meant to adapt to your life after all, being a handheld, home console and co-op beast all at once. Well, here it actually fits perfectly. Especially the last thing I mentioned works so extremely well with this console that it just seems like it was made for it. I've mentioned this before in another video when we were looking at the port to decide if it's worth it to buy or if you should put it on the shelf and leave it there. Have a look in the upper right corner to watch that one if you want. What it basically came down to is that the co-op with its full screen view is perfect for tabletop and big screen use. You don't have to split the screen, giving everyone the maximum amount of screen space to see all of the action unfold. So that already helps a lot. And the separate Joy-Cons also work well with this type of game. There are more than enough buttons, so it works in every way. There's just one big question left that's certainly very important. Can Nintendo still come up with new, interesting things? In the past few games, players already started to notice that it became a bit more stale and predictable in terms of gameplay. Sure, they added some new features like the big coin focus in the second new Super Mario Bros. And the revamped boss fights in the Wii U title, but for some, this just wasn't enough. So could Nintendo still come up with cool things to keep the series fresh? Well, I think they certainly can. The past 2 years, Nintendo has been busy reinventing a lot of their franchises, like the 3D Mario and Zelda games. So maybe this time they will do the same with the 2D games, looking at it from a different perspective and getting extremely creative again. Nobody saw the cappy and capture mechanics from Super Mario Odyssey coming, so maybe it's the same with this. They could experiment more with auto-scrolling sections, the height of a level to hide secrets and ways to progress, maybe even levels that can be explored in multiple ways by either going up, down, left or right. There are so many options. They haven't changed much about the classic 2D formula in years after all, so if they can bring something fresh to the table, I bet people would be interested. So maybe we will see a new Super Mario Bros. Title coming to the Switch sooner than most would think. Hey you there, good that you're here. Be sure to subscribe, click the annotations. You know that new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe video I mentioned? Yeah, it's in the upper right corner on the screen right now. Go watch it. Thank you so much. I love you all.